The classroom door slammed shut, echoing like a gunshot through the silent hall. Ms. Clara Hensley, 35, stood frozen, her chalk-dusted fingers trembling as the word freak lingered in the air, hurled by a student she'd trusted. She wasn't just a teacher, she was a beacon for kids like Riley. And now her own class had turned on her. Clara had always known teaching high school English in a small Ohio town would be tough. The conservative community of Willow Creek clung to tradition like a lifeline, and her quiet openness about being a lesbian had stirred whispers for years. But this year, the whispers became shouts. It started with snickers behind her back. Then cruel notes slipped into her desk drawer, words like dyke scrawled in jagged pen. She'd endured it, thinking it was just a phase. Until today, when Ethan, a senior she'd mentored, stood up mid-lesson and sneered. "Why should we listen to someone like you?" The room erupted in laughter, and Clara's heart cracked. Riley, a 16-year-old non-binary student, sat in the back, their blue hair tucked under a hoodie, eyes fixed on their desk. They'd come to Clara weeks ago, confiding about their own struggles being misgendered, mocked in the halls, their locker defaced with slurs. Clara had promised them a safe space. But now, as the class's cruelty turned on her, she saw Riley shrink further, their trust in her faltering. She couldn't let this go on. Not for her, not for Riley, not for any kid who felt like they didn't belong. Clara's life hadn't always been this battle. Growing up in Columbus, she'd hidden her identity until college, where she met Sarah, her first love. Their romance was a quiet rebellion against a world that didn't understand. But it ended when Sarah moved away, leaving Clara to navigate her truth alone. Teaching became her purpose. She wanted to be the adult she'd needed as a scared, closeted teen. Willow Creek High was her chance to make a difference. But now, standing in her own classroom, she felt like that scared teen again. She took a breath, her voice steady despite the chaos in her chest. "Class, sit down. We're going to talk." The room stilled, surprised by her calm. Ethan smirked, expecting her to crumble. But Clara wasn't done. She pulled out her copy of The Catcher in the Rye, a book she'd chosen for its raw honesty, and began reading aloud, her voice carrying a quiet strength. The passage was about Holden's loneliness, his search for connection in a world that judged him. She looked up, locking eyes with Ethan. "This is what we're here to learn, not just words, but what it means to be human." The bell rang, but no one moved. Riley's eyes met hers, wide with something like hope. Clara knew then, this wasn't just about surviving the bullying. It was about fighting back, not with anger, but with courage. She'd show her students, her town, and herself that love could be louder than hate. That night, Clara sat at her kitchen table, a single lamp casting shadows on the walls. Her laptop glowed with an email draft to the principal. "Ms. Diane Carter." She typed, then deleted, then typed again. "I refuse to let this continue," she wrote. "Our students deserve better." She hit send, her heart pounding. She didn't know Diane's stance on her identity. Rumors said the principal was neutral, but neutral could mean anything in Willow Creek. The next morning, Clara arrived at school to find her classroom door vandalized with red spray paint. Go back to the city. Her stomach dropped, but she didn't cry. Instead, she grabbed a rag and started scrubbing, her hands shaking with defiance. Riley appeared, wordless, and took another rag to help. Their silence was a bond, a shared resolve. By the time the first bell rang, the door was clean, but Clara knew the real work was just beginning. In the faculty lounge, whispers followed her. Some colleagues offered tight smiles. Others avoided her eyes. Mr. Jenkins, the history teacher, pulled her aside. "Clara, you're stirring things up. Be careful. This town doesn't like change." She nodded, But his warning only fueled her. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for Riley. For the kids who hid their true selves. For the ones who might not survive the hate without someone standing up. That afternoon, Clara met Riley in the courtyard. The same one she'd imagined as their sanctuary. "I'm scared," Riley admitted, their voice barely above a whisper. "What if this gets worse?" Clara knelt to their level, her eyes steady. "It might. But we're stronger than their words. Together, we'll show them." Riley nodded, a spark of courage in their eyes. Clara felt it to a fire she hadn't known she still had. This was her line in the sand. Clara's resolve hardened as the days passed. But the school's atmosphere grew heavier. The vandalism wasn't a one-off. Slurs appeared on her car windshield, and anonymous notes multiplied in her mailbox. She reported each incident to Principal Carter, who promised to investigate but offered little else. Clara sensed the principal's hesitation, a careful dance to avoid alienating the town's influential parents. Still, Clara refused to back down. She started a journal, documenting every act of hostility, knowing she'd need evidence if this fight escalated. In class, the tension was palpable. Ethan and his clique, popular kids with sway over the school's social hierarchy, kept up their taunts, though quieter now, as if testing her limits. Clara countered with lessons that wove in themes of identity and empathy, choosing books like Stonewall to spark discussion. Most students stayed silent, but a few, like Mia, a soft-spoken junior, began to engage. "Ms. Hensley," Mia said one day, "why do people hate what they don't understand?" Clara's heart lifted. Not everyone was against her. Riley, meanwhile, was struggling. The bullying they faced intensified, mirroring Clara's own. Their locker was trashed again, this time with a photo of them defaced with slurs. Clara found them crying in the library, their usual refuge. "I can't keep doing this," Riley whispered. Clara sat beside them, her voice gentle but firm. "You're not alone, Riley. I'm here, and we'll get through this." She shared her own story, how she'd faced rejection from her family at 18, how she'd rebuilt herself. Riley listened, their tears slowing, and Clara saw a flicker of resilience in them. Outside school, Clara's personal life offered little reprieve. Her small apartment, once a haven, felt lonely without Sarah's laughter to fill it. She'd tried dating since, but Willow Creek's dating pool was small, and her openness scared most away. Her closest friend, Lila, a local barista, urged her to leave. "This town's toxic, Clara. You're fighting a losing battle." But Clara shook her head. "If I leave, who's left for kids like Riley?" Lila sighed, pouring her another coffee. "You're stubborn, but I love you for it." Clara began researching local laws and school policies, arming herself with knowledge. She discovered the district's anti-bullying policy was vague, rarely enforced against hate-based harassment. She drafted a proposal for a new policy, one that explicitly protected students and staff from discrimination based on identity. It was a long shot, but she sent it to Diane, attaching her journal of incidents. "This is bigger than me," she wrote. "It's about creating a safe school for everyone." The response came faster than expected. Diane called her into a meeting, her face unreadable. "Clara, your proposal is bold, but it's divisive. The school board won't like it." Clara's jaw tightened. "With respect, Diane, doing nothing is divisive. Kids are hurting." Diane leaned back, studying her. "I'll present it, but no promises. And Clara, watch your back." The warning chilled her, but it also clarified her path. She wasn't just a teacher anymore, she was an advocate. Back in class, Clara noticed a shift. Mia and a few others started sitting closer to Riley, forming a quiet alliance. During a discussion on Stonewall, Mia raised her hand. Ms. Hensley, what you're doing, it's brave. The room went silent. Ethan's smirk faltering. Clara smiled, her voice steady. Bravery's just doing what's right, even when it's hard. For the first time, she felt the tide might be turning. That night, Clara found a note slipped under her classroom door, not a slur, but a thank you from an anonymous student. You make me feel seen, it read. She clutched it, tears welling. The fight was far from over, but these small victories fueled her. She thought of Riley, of their shared scrubbing of the vandalized door, and knew she couldn't stop. Not now. Not ever. The school board meeting loomed like a storm cloud. Clara spent nights preparing, her kitchen table buried under legal research and handwritten notes. She'd never spoken publicly like this, but the thought of Riley and others like them kept her going. The meeting was set in the town hall, a brick building that doubled as Willow Creek's heart. Clara arrived early, her stomach in knots, wearing a blazer that felt like armor. The room filled quickly, parents, teachers, even students, including Ethan and his friends. Their smirks unmistakable. Riley sat in the back, their hoodie pulled tight. Clara caught their eye, offering a nod of reassurance. When her turn came, she stood, her voice clear despite the pounding in her chest. I'm here because our school is failing its students. Bullying based on identity mine. Theirs. Anyone cis tearing us apart. I'm proposing a policy to protect everyone, because no one should feel unsafe here. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A parent, Mrs. Larson, stood, her voice sharp. This is about pushing an agenda. We don't need this in our schools. Clara's heart sank, but she held her ground. This isn't an agenda. It's about safety. Kids are being hurt, some don't make it through. She glanced at Riley, whose eyes were fixed on her, wide with awe. Another parent, Mr. Patel, spoke up. My son's been bullied too. If this policy helps, I'm for it. The room split, voices rising. Diane intervened, promising a vote in 2 weeks. Clara left shaken but proud. Outside, Riley caught up with her. You were amazing, they said, their voice trembling. Clara hugged them, whispering, we're just getting started. But the backlash was swift. The next day, flyers appeared around school, calling Clara a disruptor unfit to teach. Her car tires were slashed, and the police called it a prank. Clara's fear grew, but so did her determination. She started an after-school group, Safe Space, for students like Riley. To her surprise, Mia and others joined, even a few she hadn't expected. They shared stories of rejection, fear, but also hope. Riley opened up about their parents, who struggled to understand their identity. They think it's a phase, they said. Clara listened, offering no easy answers but unwavering support. The group became a lifeline, a small rebellion against the town's hostility. At home, Clara's phone buzzed with messages from Lila, who'd heard about the meeting. You're a hero, but you're scaring me, Lila texted. Clara smiled faintly, typing back, heroes don't quit. But alone, doubt crept in. Was she pushing too hard? Could she protect Riley and the others without losing everything? She thought of Sarah, wondering what she'd say. Keep fighting, she imagined, and the thought steadied her. In class, Clara doubled down, weaving lessons with stories of resilience. Harvey Milk, Marcia P. Johnson. Ethan's clique stayed quiet, but she sensed their unease. One day, Mia brought in a poem she'd written about acceptance, reading it aloud. The class clapped, even some of Ethan's friends. Clara saw it, the spark of change. But that night, her classroom was trashed, books torn, Desks overturned. A note read, "Leave or else." Clara's hands shook as she cleaned, but she didn't call the police. She called Riley instead. "We're not done," she said. "Meet me tomorrow. We'll fix this together." The trash classroom felt like a personal attack, but Clara saw it as a challenge. She and Riley spent the weekend restoring it, turning chaos into order. They hung posters of inspiring figures, turning the room into a sanctuary. When students arrived Monday, they noticed. Mia whispered, "It looks like a rebellion." Clara smiled. It was. The safe space group grew, drawing kids from unexpected corners, a jock, a band geek, even a cheerleader. They shared stories, laughed, cried. Riley started smiling more, their confidence growing. Clara felt a surge of pride, but also pressure. These kids trusted her, and the school board vote was days away. She met with Diane again, who admitted the board was split. "You've got supporters, Clara, but the opposition's loud. Be ready." Clara prepared a second speech, this time with student testimonies. Riley volunteered theirs, a raw account of surviving bullying. "Ms. Hensley showed me I'm enough," they wrote. Clara choked up reading it. She also reached out to a local advocacy group, who offered legal support if the board rejected her proposal. The fight was bigger than Willow Creek now. At school, Ethan's behavior shifted. He stopped taunting, watching Clara with something like confusion. One day, he lingered after class. "Why do you keep doing this?" he asked, his voice low. Clara met his gaze. "Because I believe in you, Ethan, even when you don't believe in me." He left without a word, but she saw doubt in his eyes. Could she reach him? The town buzzed with tension. Clara overheard parents at the grocery store, some calling her a hero, others a troublemaker. Lila warned her about a planned protest at the board meeting. "They're saying you're indoctrinating kids," she said. Clara's stomach twisted, but she refused to hide. She called a safe space meeting, preparing the kids. "We'll face this together," she told them. Riley nodded, their jaw set. The night of the board meeting, Clara arrived to a packed hall and a picket line outside. Signs read, "Protect our kids," and "No agenda in schools." Her heart raced, but she spotted Riley and the safe space kids in the crowd, holding their own signs. "Love is not a crime." Clara took the podium, her voice steady. "This isn't about me. It's about students who deserve to feel safe. Listen to them." She read Riley's testimony, then Mia's, then others. The room was silent, then erupted half in applause, half in boos. A board member, Mr. Thompson, challenged her. "This policy could disrupt our community's values." Clara responded, "Hate isn't a value. Safety is." Riley stood, surprising everyone, and spoke. "I'm non-binary. I'm not a threat. I just want to learn without fear." The crowd hushed, moved by their courage. Clara's eyes stung with pride. The vote was delayed again, but Clara felt a shift. People were listening. That night, she found another note on her car, no a threat, but a drawing of a rainbow heart, signed "Safe Space." She clutched it, hope rising. The fight was exhausting, but she wasn't alone anymore. The delay in the board's decision left Clara in limbo, but she didn't pause. She poured her energy into Safe Space, turning it into a movement. The group started a school-wide campaign, distributing pins with "Ally" written in rainbow colors. To her surprise, teachers like Ms. Rivera, the art teacher, joined in, wearing the pins openly. Even Mr. Jenkins, once cautious, offered a quiet nod of support. Clara felt the school shifting, but the opposition grew fiercer. A local church organized a rally against her policy, calling it anti-family. Clara watched the news coverage. Her name dragged through heated sermons. She felt exposed, vulnerable, but Riley's voice echoed in her mind. I just want to learn without fear. She couldn't stop now. She reached out to the advocacy group, who connected her with a lawyer, Ms. Torres, who specialized in education rights. You've got a case, Torres said. If the board rejects this, we'll push higher. In class, Clara noticed Ethan's absence. Rumors said he'd been grounded after the board meeting, his parents furious about his role in the bullying. She worried about him not as her antagonist, but as a kid caught in a town's divide. She left a note in his mailbox, offering to talk. No response came, but she didn't give up hope. Riley, meanwhile, was blooming. They started a blog, sharing their story anonymously. It went viral in Willow Creek, sparking debates online. Some comments were vicious, but others were supportive, including one from a parent. My kid's in your group. Thank you. Clara shared the comment with Riley, who grinned. We're making waves. Ms. H. Clara laughed, but worry nodded her waves could drown as easily as they carried. The night before the final board vote, Clara couldn't sleep. She walked to the school courtyard, sitting on the bench where she and Riley had bonded. She traced the carved words, love wins, hate loses, and prayed they'd hold true. Lila called, her voice urgent. Clara, there's a rumor the board's leaning against you. Be ready for anything. Clara thanked her, her resolve steeling. She'd fight, no matter the outcome. The board meeting was chaos. Protesters clashed outside, and inside, the air was thick with tension. Clara spoke last, her voice raw but powerful. This policy isn't about changing your beliefs. It's about saving lives. Kids like Riley deserve that. Riley stood again, joined by Safe Space members, their presence a silent plea. The board voted 4-3 in favor. Clara's knees buckled with relief, but the room exploded in shouts. Victory came with a cost. That night, Clara's apartment was egged, windows cracked. She called the police, who took a report but shrugged. Small town, big feelings, an officer said. Clara cleaned up alone, tears mixing with the mess. But then Riley and Mia showed up, brooms in hand. We've got you. Ms. H. Riley said. Clara hugged them, her heart full. The policy was a start, but the real change was in these kids. Their courage, their love. The policy's passage was a milestone, but Clara knew it was only the beginning. Implementing it meant training teachers, revising disciplinary codes, and facing parents who saw it as a betrayal. She worked with Ms. Torres to ensure the policy had teeth consequences for bullying, mandatory inclusivity training. But resistance lingered. Some teachers dragged their feet, and parents pulled kids from her class, citing personal beliefs. Clara stayed focused, her eyes on the kids who needed her. Riley's confidence grew. They spoke at a Safe Space meeting, sharing their blog's impact. People are reading it. Ms. H. They're listening. Clara beamed, but worry crept in. Riley's visibility made them a target. Sure enough, their blog attracted trolls. Some local, some anonymous. One comment chilled Clara. You and your teacher will pay. She reported it to Diane, who promised to monitor but seemed overwhelmed. Ethan returned to class, quieter now. Clara caught him watching her lessons, his usual smirk gone. One day, he stayed after class. I'm sorry, he mumbled, eyes down. I didn't get it before. Clara's heart softened. You're here now, Ethan? That's what matters. He nodded, joining Safe Space the next week. His presence shocked the group, but Riley welcomed him. Their forgiveness a lesson in grace. Clara's personal life took a hit. Her landlord, pressured by neighbors, hinted at not renewing her lease. Lila offered her couch, but Clara refused to be driven out. She started looking for a new place, her savings thin. At night, she journaled, pouring out her fears and hopes. "I'm tired," she wrote, "but these kids keep me going." She thought of Sarah, wondering if she'd be proud. A Google search revealed Sarah was now a professor in Chicago. Clara drafted an email but didn't send it. Not yet. The school year marched on, and Safe Space became a haven. Students organized a pride event, a small gathering in the courtyard with music and rainbow flags. Clara watched, tears in her eyes, as Riley led a poetry reading. But the event drew protesters, their signs hateful. Clara stood with her students, shielding them. A rock flew, grazing her arm. Riley grabbed her hand, trembling. "We're okay," Clara said, though her heart raced. Diane called an emergency meeting, announcing increased security. "This has to stop," she said, finally firm. Clara nodded, grateful but wary. She met with Ms. Torres, who suggested a lawsuit if the harassment continued. "You're changing this town," Clara, Torres said. "But it's a fight." Clara knew it. She saw it in Riley's tired eyes, in Ethan's cautious hope, in her own reflection. That night, Clara found a package at her door, a book of poetry, signed by the Safe Space kids. Inside, Riley had written, "You're our hero." Clara cried, clutching it. The fight was worth it, but the cost was heavy. She looked at the stars, whispering, "We're not done." Clara's arm healed, but the scar reminded her of the stakes. The Pride event's fallout lingered. Parents demanded Diane suspend Safe Space, calling it divisive. Diane held firm, citing the new policy, but Clara felt the pressure mounting. She met with Ms. Torres weekly, building a case against the ongoing harassment. "You're a target because you're effective," Torres said. Clara nodded, but exhaustion weighed her down. Riley faced their own battles. Their parents, initially resistant, started attending family counseling, prompted by Riley's blog. "They're trying," Riley told Clara, a rare smile breaking through. Clara hugged them, proud but protective. She noticed Ethan mentoring younger kids in Safe Space, his transformation a quiet victory. But not everyone softened. Some students spread rumors, and Clara's car was keyed again. She leaned on Lila, who became her rock. One night, over wine, Lila pushed her. "Clara, you're killing yourself for this. What's the endgame?" Clara stared at her glass. A world where Riley doesn't have to fight to exist. Lila softened, squeezing her hand. "You're doing it, but don't lose yourself." Clara nodded, but the weight of her mission felt heavier each day. At school, Clara introduced a unit on allyship, using real-world examples. Ethan raised his hand, surprising her. "I was wrong before," he said to the class. "Ms. H's right hates the problem, not her." The room was silent. Then Mia clapped, others joining. Clara's throat tightened. Moments like this kept her going, but the threats didn't stop. Her email was hacked, flooding her inbox with hate. She changed passwords, reported it, but felt violated. The advocacy group offered to fund a town hall, a chance to educate the community. Clara agreed, nervous but determined. She and the Safe Space kids planned it, creating posters and speeches. Riley designed a logo, a rainbow heart, with Willow Creek allies inside. The event drew a mixed crowd: supporters, skeptics, and protesters. Clara spoke first, her voice steady. "We're not here to divide. We're here to build a community where everyone belongs. Riley followed, their words raw and powerful. I'm non-binary. I'm your neighbor. I'm not going away. A heckler shouted, but Mr. Patel stood, silencing him. My son's happier because of this group. Let them speak. The room shifted, more applause than boos. Clara felt hope, but as they left, a brick shattered a window, narrowly missing Riley. Police arrived, but no arrests were made. Clara drove Riley home, both silent, shaken but unbroken. That night, Clara finally emailed Sarah, pouring out her heart. I'm fighting, but it's hard. I miss you. She hit send, her hands trembling. The reply came hours later. Clara, I'm proud of you. Keep going. Tears fell, but so did a weight. She wasn't alone. The town hall marked a turning point, but not the end. Clara and the safe space kids kept pushing, their bond unbreakable. The school implemented the policy fully, with training sessions led by Ms. Torres. Some teachers resisted, but others, like Ms. Rivera, became vocal allies. Clara saw change in small moments, students wearing ally pins, Ethan helping Riley repaint their locker, Mia's poetry posted in the halls. The harassment didn't vanish. Clara's new apartment was safer, but she still got hate mail. She kept every letter, evidence for Torres' case. The advocacy group filed a lawsuit against the district for inadequate response to earlier incidents, with Clara as a key witness. It was daunting, but she testified, her voice unwavering. This isn't just about me. It's about every kid who's ever felt worthless. Riley's blog grew, earning national attention. They were invited to speak at a youth conference, with Clara as their chaperone. Watching Riley on stage, confident and proud, Clara cried. You did this, Riley whispered later. Clara shook her head. We did this. Ethan, now a safe space leader, organized a fundraiser for the group, his redemption complete. Even Diane softened, privately thanking Clara for her courage. Sarah visited Willow Creek, their reunion bittersweet. Over coffee, they talked for hours, rekindling a spark. I never stopped loving you, Sarah said. Clara smiled, unsure of the future but open to it. They parted with a promise to stay in touch. A new chapter possible. The school year ended with a safe space celebration. Students shared stories, laughed, and danced under fairy lights in the courtyard. Riley gave Clara a Paintinga rainbow heart with "Thank you" carved below. The words echoed the bench's message, love wins, hate loses. Clara hung it in her classroom, a reminder of their victory. Years later, Clara looked back on Willow Creek as the fight that defined her. The policy held, the lawsuit won protections, and safe space thrived. Riley graduated, pursuing activism. Ethan became a teacher, inspired by Clara. She stayed, teaching new generations, her classroom a beacon. The scars remained hers, Riley's, the town's, but so did the love. Clara had fought, not just for herself, but for a world where no one had to hide. And she'd won.